I looked into her eyes for any sign of doubt or sympathy. I tried to study her to see if she was buying it. But she looked like she was doing the same thing to me, studying my face. We just watched one another for a heavy, solid moment, until she looked down, pulled out Owen's handgun, and handed it over. In that case, don't forget this one. I dropped it inside the safe, closed the door, and spun the dial. That was it. Turns out, Jen's impressive voice translates into even more impressive screams. This wasn't like the noise that she made when she found Abram. No, this was twice as loud. I felt it in my bones. My first thought as we jumped to our feet was, oh god, that thing has gotten a hold of Yen. But then Lucy shined her light into the room and I realized I was wrong. The Millipede Queen had found herself a new host. And now, Bart's body was standing in the middle, staring at his hands and wriggling each of his fingers. A crazy smile on his face. Jerry held the sword over his head and dramatically unsheathed it. Zombies again, eh? Alright.
Welcome, friendly child.
He ran across
And
the room and swung the blade straight down.
day of your
It lodged
illustrious
itself in
career
the
with
top
the
of Bart's
Fatui.
skull about an inch deep and
You
stuck.
sound remarkably
Jerry pulled,
sure
but
of
Bart
yourself.
jumped back, taking the wedge weapon with him.
We are mere mortals.
The blade was not protrude
Our
from his head
ideas
like a
are
unicorn
fluid
horn.
like water.
Wow!
But back
Jerry
to the
said.
matter at hand.
That was not nearly
Child
as
tells
easy
me
as I
that
thought
he
it was
has
going to be.
upheld his end of
Bone
your
is
agreement.
hard. Lucy grabbed me by the arm and pulled me to the
What
ground behind the
agreement?
counter. Combination, open the safe, do it now.
helping us find the
Can't.
guy?
Why not? It's on a timer,
Correct.
on a battery.
Child
the safe won't
promised
open
he would
more
find
than
someone
once
to
every
break the
8 hours.
stalemate. And the Harbingers do not
In a
break their
flash, she was back on her
promises
feet
lightly.
and leapt over the counter. By the time I got to the other side, she already raced over to the table,
where
grabbed the
is
baseball
that
bat,
guy
and cracked
anyway?
it over the zombie Bart's head.
Child is currently at Leoli Pavilion.
Predictably, had little effect. The
I
Zombar
know
lifted his
this
hand,
one.
gripped the blade, and pulled it free.
There are two styles
See,
of
this is
cooking in
exactly what I
Leela,
was worried about.
known as
The
Lee
monster had gotten a
style
hold of
and
one of
Yui
our
style.
weapons.
They
This
have
is
been
gonna
competing
happen.
for
I am a
centuries,
genius.
but neither is
Owen was
alleged as the
screaming and
clear
thrashing.
winner.
Yen was
The
hiding behind
flagship
Jerry now, moving in my
restaurant of the
direction, and
third
Bart
type of
Queen
pylon like
was
that.
heading away from all of us. Huh. Good. I quickly realized he was heading towards the door. Ah, bad. Bart lifted the blade and flicked it down, shattering the glass door into a million pieces. The cloud of green flowed inside like a fire hydrant had burst. In a matter of seconds, we all lost visibility. The air turned warm, then hot. Tiny wings and legs the size of hairs blasted my skin. I stepped forward, holding my breath and reaching into the fray, hoping against all hope that my fingers would find salvation. I felt skin. Immediately, a hand grasped my wrist and yanked me forward. My eyes were closed, but mayflies coated the lining of my lids, wriggling to get underneath. Whoever was holding my arm continued to pull, so I continued to follow, until finally, they fell to the ground, taking me with them. As soon as my hands touched the floor, I regained my bearings. I'd know this sticky concrete anywhere. We were inside the storage closet again. Which meant I felt my way along the floor until I reached the corner. There was a box here, Code Blues. Code Blues, where is it? I found what I could only hope was the correct cardboard box. I ripped it open, I reached inside and felt around until... Eureka! The flashlight! The normal flashlight! As soon as I clicked it on, the swarm surged loudly enough for me to be able to hear it like a tempest wave, crashing against the sides of a boat.
You made
Green
it.
spattered the walls as some of the bugs became
As
victims of their own
promised, I
air
found someone who
stampede.
can help you.
With all the strength I had
Someone who
remaining,
can
I
solve the
tossed it
mystery
out the
why the
doorway.
Leela
The
Qi
cloud
Sing
of
would hide
bugs,
the
now a
GOR.
solid wall of green,
He
heaved in
certainly-
unison
I
after
took-
it, catching it, freezing it in midair, and quickly consuming it. Jerry slammed the door shut and slid the deadbolt into place. Why, you might ask, does our supply closet have a deadbolt from the inside? Obviously, for just such an occasion
Welcome
as this.
back, sir. You
I
honor
hacked
us
up and
with your
wiped dead bug
patronage.
guts off
Mr.
myself.
Zhongli is awaiting your
Soon-
arrival in the room you booked.
Soon I became aware that I wasn't the only one. Next to me, Lucy was feverishly pinching off the remaining insects and stomping or clapping them into oblivion. Next to her, Yen sat with her back against the wall, staring at something miles away. I couldn't believe it. In the chaos, we all grabbed each other's hands and worked our way to safety. We were all safe. Wait. No.
Hi.
No, that's not exactly right. I counted heads just to make sure. Oh, yeah. Looks like somebody didn't make it. Another asshole mayfly tried racing up my nose. I pinched it and wiped the gooey mess onto my shirt.
Allow me to
Then,
introduce Mr. Zhong Li,
quite
consultant to an organization known as Wang Sheng,
doors of
and a
reality
trusted associate of the Fatui.
fell off their hinges.
Indeed. Wang Sheng's line of work can be sensitive at times. Let's just say they understand when discretion is needed. And we, the Fatui, have always been glad to do business with friends who walk in the shadows.
This isn't a job for words.
Walk in
You
the
tried staring
shadows?
directly into the sun for about 10 years.
It
while
is
someone
an
holds
honor
oatmeal
to
in
meet
your
you.
eyes to a funnel.
I have heard tell of you from
To be clear,
Mondstadt.
that's not what this felt like, but that might open your senses to a degree of perception that will allow the inference of the idea to exist in your mind.
Is the
However,
Wang Sheng
we don't really
some
have
kind
time
of
for that, so
physical
I'll
thing?
give language a shot and do the best I
With
can.
people?
I found myself falling off of the face of the world.
Indeed.
Like my mind
is as
had been
you
a
have
one-dimensional cup of coffee, stretched out and remastered into 3D, played backwards on a network of computers that could only be used
The Wang
by
Sheng
beings with
Funeral
eyes that
Parlor
could see
organizes
reverse.
burials.
My coffee,
We
the
ensure
thoughts,
that those who
spilled
pass
out all
on
over the table.
do so in
There's
peace.
a table in the situation, right next to the bowl of fruit. Time was slowed down for me.
Did
I
you
could
think he
control
was
it.
some
I
sort
could
of
make it
hired
stop
killer?
if I wanted to, and yet
The
I was
Fatui calls
acutely
many such
aware
people
that the
friends,
time flow
but the
for
Wang
everyone
Sheng
else
Funeral
and
Parlor does
everything
not
else was still
dabble in
going on.
such business.
While that might seem
ostensibly.
like, for all
Well,
intents
they
and
are
purposes,
still...
like, time was
I
still
shouldn't say
moving
too
normally
much.
for me as well.
In any
I can
case,
assure you
I brought you to meet
that
Mr.
time
Zhongli
was...
because...
Shit, where was I?
Because I
looked around
can
me and
bring
I
you
realized
to
that I'd
see
slipped out
Rex
of my body
Lapis's
long ago.
vessel.
I'd forgotten it back at the gas station, in a closet, surrounded by swarms of decknads. I
Rex
left my
Lap,
wallet
the
and keys
times
and phone in
have
my body,
changed.
so I was truly
As
naked
you,
now,
in years
in the most
past,
literal and
near
metaphysical way
the
possible.
aside traveler.
I was somewhere inside of infinity.
Well,
And my
Indeed.
brain was somewhere
That's
inside
yet
another
precisely.
infinity. And my body was somewhere
Oh,
inside
if
a
we are-
different infinity. And in some ways, I was infinity. I felt the
All
universe's
right,
cruel
Mike,
love
you
and
can go.
understood that I was just a molecule in an expanding star. The world, I could live and exist amongst the cosmos forever. There was a gorgeous shining light, and I was part of it. All the pain my mortal body had ever endured was so small in comparison to forever. I was at peace. The whole stupid, scary gas station thing is dumb anymore. Hey, maybe in the next life I could be a bat. Some bats eat fruit, right? I could do that. Sleep all day, eat berries all night, fly in a group with friends, live forever, solve mysteries, ride roller coasters. Bats ride roller coasters, don't they? If not, they will. I just need to rearrange the reality slightly, and I could do and be anything I want. I felt a shock. The universe pushed me back
After
against my
having
absurd attempt to
experienced
interact
the
with
land of
reality. The song
but
was
I
already in
should
motion.
organize.
I couldn't change
Meanwhile,
it. Only
I
listen and
need a
enjoy.
no-
Yeah, close enough. I settled in
These
to
are
ride
the...
the wave.
Well then,
To see what the storyteller had in store for Jerry smacked me across the face. Dude, snap out of it. We got shit to do. What? I was
What's the
back at the
hurry?
gas station supply room, sitting in the corner and drooling all over myself.
What's the hurry?
How long had I been gone?
What's the hurry?
Where exactly had I gone to? Yen knelt in front of me and shined the red flashlight into my eyes. His pupils are dilated, she announced. You hit your head? Yeah, probably.
Welcome to the Jade
Could be a sign of
Mystery.
traumatic brain injury. We need to get out of here
Not
and
to
find
look
a
at
hospital.
Radiant Gray-
Nah, Jerry interrupted. Just the drugs
What do you
finally
think?
kicking in.
Please, but
I sat up and the entire world sloshed into place after me.
What do you think?
The room
Oh,
had some
if it
momentary
weren't,
lag to
I'll
it.
take them all.
Strangely
boss.
enough, I could see everything
you
as clear as
actually-
ever.
Oh,
What drugs? I asked. Okay, so promise me you won't get mad. I will not promise
if
that.
we only
Okay,
had
well,
one-
if you promise you won't get mad,
More.
I'll tell
It
you.
is as you say.
Remember how I
If one mu-
requested to work
Oh,
tonight?
more.
No, the reason was because I needed someone responsible,
No
like
need
you,
to.
to
That
be here in
only
case things got heavy. You know,
But
because
there
I
is
trust you to
a
make
fool-
sure that I'm safe
If you
and
point
not call the
the
cops
path,
if I have a
not the
bad
Lucas
trip.
Jade of excellent.
Price?
The world finally snapped into place around me. Everything was back to normal, except for the fact that I could suddenly see everybody's aura.
Burn them.
Looking back,
That would. How
that
about
seemed rather
this?
strange,
I can
but
take.
at the
Don't
moment,
worry.
it felt perfectly inconsequential.
All right. Take these as
What did you
sample.
do?
Aren't these
I asked
even
him.
papers?
Jerry's
paper?
aura was a strange kind of
Sin?
sunny yellow,
What did
pink,
It can't be.
swirling with vibrant
While-
energy.
Oh.
It was a controlled
Strictly.
chaos,
Well-
like a Picasso painting in a blender. Well, you know, Halloween is sacred to me. I wanted to make sure I did something special for it. So, I made some hallucinogenic tea. And I may have been microdosing for the last few days to optimize my high. I thought it would let me see some other worlds, but for the most part, it just showed me truths about how tiny we are in the universe. I know, right? I said with excitement before snapping out of the spell. Wait, what? Okay, What was in that flask you gave me? Oh, it's a special homebrew. There's a few different ingredients, primarily. He mumbled a couple of words under his breath, and his aura shifted to purple and baby blue. He didn't want me to... Come again? He couldn't look at me. I said, primarily ayahuasca and peyote. Lucy let out a loud, inappropriate, ha! Yen gave her a disapproving mom face, but Lucy shrugged. What?
It
That's
has been a
actually
long
funny.
time since I last said.
We're all gonna die, but at least you're high kind of way.
It looks like the
Aurora was
Electros are
orange.
still using it.
Fire red. Yen was
It's a
cool
bit
blue.
late, but we gotta cut the
I
line.
prefer we find a way out of this where nobody else has to die. My tongue felt funny. I don't
Windblade.
know a lot about recreational drugs. Jerry seemed almost offended by my choice of words. His aura made a frowny face as he explained,
Be gone!
"These are not recreational, they're spiritual, medicinal. Native Americans use peyote to treat influenza, snake, and scorpion bite, even blindness, because it helps you see out of more than just your eye." Yen nodded. Actually, he's not completely wrong. Ayahuasca has been used for ages by indigenous people to combat tropical parasites. Lucy said, "Great. So we actually dumb-lucked our way into an antidote for zombies." Yeah, distance herself from where this conversation was headed. Wait, we're not honestly saying that Bart is some kind of reanimated corpse. That's absolutely absurd. He must have simply had a weak pulse that I couldn't detect. The blood loss probably left him confused and disoriented, and that brain injury from the sword must have been what caused him to break the glass in an effort to get away. There's a perfectly normal explanation for everything that happened tonight. How annoyingly rational of her. Lucy scrunched up her nose. You might be right. But I've seen enough weird stuff in my life to know that monsters are real. I don't suppose you guys have any more of that stuff, do you? Less, Jerry answered. Jack Power chugged it like he was a freshman at a rush week.
Looks like it could be used as our hydro-elemental protection.
Not as sorry as you're gonna be.
Let's fire
There's a
up
fuse
and
before that
begin
stuff
it.
hits all at once. And if you're not used to the effects, well, you might find yourself falling in and out of corporality.
Use pyro
That's
to
normal.
keep making the
If you end up in the
higher
other
until
place,
we
look
get
for the
the
Muscalito
results we
Spirit
need.
to be your guide. He doesn't always appear to first-timers, but considering how much tea you
Mr.
drink,
Jean-Lee
I
said
think
that
he'll
the
pretty much
shinier
have to
and
show.
bluer the ore gets,
I
the
nearly
better
jumped out of
it
my
is.
skin when we heard the sound of knocking
Pay
at the
close
door. And with
attention.
those drugs coursing through my veins, such a thing felt very possible. Who is it? Jerry said in a strange, high-pitched voice. Open the door, blasted Owen. Or at least something using Owen's voice. Yen jumped from the door, but Lucy snatched her by the wrist with both hands and stopped her. Let go, she said. Owen's out there in that mess. The voice on the other side of the door was desperate. Come on, live! These things are everywhere. I can barely breathe. He started coughing loudly, convincingly, then continued. Please, I'm hurt. I'm bleeding really badly. You have to open up. Yen shook her hand free from Lucy's grasp and said, "We have to let him in. He'll die out there. I know he's a shitty person, but he doesn't deserve this." Poor aura was glowing white hot, but something else was drowning it out. I could see the aura of whatever was standing on the other side of the door.
That
It was
light came from the
monstrous,
first Noctilucus
hungry,
jade.
angry. It was shaped like a human, but it
Her
radiated
trails are
an unholy
surrounding us
energy.
again.
And now I
Were they
understood.
attracted by the light?
This must have been what Jerry saw when he looked at
Such
Avery.
nosy neighbors.
It
Let's
acted
take
human,
care of them and continue
presented
with
human,
their act.
but it wasn't. Hey, I said, pulling myself to my feet. That's not Owen. If you open that door, we're all screwed. Aura went red the moment that she made up her mind. I knew what was coming, but I didn't have time to stop it. You're all crazy. With that, she lunged forward and slid open the lock. The door swung open immediately, and the thing, the vessel that had once been Owen, stepped inside our room. His face was covered in lines of green dots, racing around and over one another, crawling in and out of holes where his nose and eyes used to be. His once handsome face was now skeletal caverns for highways of insects, burning away to the bone as the mobilist army of infant mayflies dropped millions of tiny bites. He lifted his hands, one of which had been degloved at the wrist, where the zip tie had held him in place. His fingers caught Yen by the throat and squeezed her screams into silence. They both went down. Yen hit her back against the floor. The thing landed on top of her, still squeezing. Its jaw opened as a pair of long, thin appendages reached out, dangling from the other side of his teeth, inches above his face. The swarm of insects invaded the room. Jerry launched onto Owen's back. Lucy grabbed the flashlight and broke it against Owen's face. The thing released its grip on Yen long enough to grab the other two and throw them into the hallway. And when it turned back to its
That
victim,
light
the
came
queen
from
was
the
already
second
halfway
Noctilucus
removed from
jade,
Owen's
didn't it?
mouth. Its eyes stared at the poor woman
More
crying in
light,
front of it.
Charles.
Its
They don't
fishbone
give up, do
legs
they?
scratching the skin of Owen's mouth
Looks
away
like
in
they're mad
chunks
to be
like
ruining their
it
food.
couldn't wait to free itself. And suddenly, far away, Not now. You can do it, Jack. You can trip later. They need you. The room was gone. I was standing outside. Cold, wet air flew against my face, filling my nostrils with the smell of wood smoke and sand. The sky above me was filled with crisp stars, reaching all the way down to the horizon on all sides. The earth beneath me was brown. Nearby a fire, inviting me over. But the queen thing, if it was about to crawl inside a yen. I slowly turned around.
Freeze! Oh, so sorry.
There was no yen, no military, no gas station.
Freeze!
This felt just as real as anything. Maybe I had hallucinated the whole thing. Maybe I'd never even walked to a gas station. Maybe I just came out here to do some drugs, and now I couldn't remember which side of the dream I started out on. I walked over to the fire. Not like I had much choice. My only options were A, approach the fire, or B, don't approach the fire. I'd already tried B without any success. The bonfire was only 3 logs big. Put off enough heat that I could feel it from 10 feet away.
Oh,
As
that's
soon as I was
right!
close enough to
Too
hear its
right!
warmth, I heard the man standing next to me.
That was the third Noctilucus jade, wasn't it?
Yo, you're finally here, Jack.
It was so much shinier than the rest. Let's go with that one.
Your skin was lime green.
Let's head back to the
Pointy
jade
ears,
mystery
no
to
hair.
buy some
He
jade,
wore no
shall we?
clothes, and I kept my eyes aimed up at his face, just to stay polite. Hey, I said, doing my best impression of a friendly gas station clerk. Who are you? I'm like your guiding spirit or whatever. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm like your spirit guide or whatever. He had a distinctly surfer bro accent. Not at all what I expected. I mean, I didn't expect anything, but especially not this. I'm here to show you how to find the answers you seek, I guess.
Bruh?
Oh. Okay, well, I was in the middle of something when I got here. Do you think we can range send me back? I'm pretty sure my body's being eaten by bugs as we speak. Your body is safe, but your mind is torn asunder. The vision waved its green hands as it spoke. It felt slightly overacted, but it was gonna be polite. Your thoughts are poison. You bleed memories. Your spiritual injuries go deep. If you do not tend to them first, your body will outlive you, man. I sighed. Okay, fine. How does this work? What's the fastest way to get this all over with? The messy spirit crossed his arms and said, well, I guess we can dispense with formalities. Great. I hate formalities. Oh, me too, man. All right. Let's get right to it. First, a few ground rules, okay? Number 1, no kissing. What? Absolutely no kissing. Understand? Can't even tell you how many times people have tried to make
You're
out
back,
with me.
my friend.
Right, come on. I'm a primeval spirit of nature, not some booty call.
Huh?
Anyway,
No, it
number
wasn't.
2.
Think a bit harder.
If you want to listen to music, his words turned into muted screams
Huh?
as the blade
No,
entered his
think
neck.
a bit... Exactly.
No problem.
Then we'll
Done.
all the
Jumped onto the spirit's back and drove a fillet
It is
knife
said,
into it.
alas.
The spirit hit the ground as the man
If
removed
not-
the knife and stabbed
In the
it
safe
back
hands
in,
of the
over
Leo
and
chief.
over.
All right.
Now
Black
that we...
blood sprayed out in every
Oh,
direction as
right,
the man
as
turned
I-
him into a
Anyway.
bloody
Mora.
pincushion.
My apologies.
He held the knife
that
handle with
won't
2 hands
do.
and thrust it again and again
That's
until the
a
blood wasn't
relief.
spraying anymore.
Have a look.
Man heaved loudly until his breathing returned to normal.
It's
Then he
fine.
plunged the weapon one last
Well.
time into the spirit's back,
at you,
all the way to the
bossing
hilt
everyone
before standing
around.
up and dusting himself off. Once again, once done, he looked at me. He gave a strange smile. Hey, Jack. Looks like I got this one just in time. You okay? The man looked like Abram, at least mostly anyway. He was a fair amount younger, slightly thinner. His yellow beard was almost brown. What the hell did you do that for? I asked him.
What's the
What are
hurry?
you talking about? The voice was definitely Abrams. I just saved your damn life. The man looked at the destroyed creature at his feet, and doubt crept into his words. Didn't I? No! But really? Looked like he was one of them aliens. Like that one they caught up and hunting those goats in the brown farm. I mean, look at him. He's all green. Lots of supernatural things are green. That was a spirit guide. He was supposed to show me how to navigate this plane of existence. Oh, shit, really? Yes! Hit him, kicked to the body. Didn't budge. Oh, well, damn. My mistake, Jack. With nothing else to do with our night, we tried digging a hole to bury the body of our deceased spirit guide, but the ground was just too hard, so we gave up almost right away. In the end, we decided to roll the body away and try to ignore it while we sat down by the fire. I had to wonder if anyone had ever killed their spirit guide before. Was there a protocol for this kind of thing? Was I going to get in trouble? Jerry would probably know
We
the
can
answer to
leave.
that.
Ah,
Wherever
yes.
Jerry was.
Guess we can't do
Which
anything
reminded me,
else.
Yes.
I was still trapped
I
in
have
another state of
already-
materiality
that's
from
right.
where I was supposed
But
to
when
be.
something didn't
The young version of
overlap,
Abram pulled the
also-
burning twig away from
Traditionally,
the fire.
one
and
must
used it to
think
light
that
a
they
cigarette.
already have some. Before,
Golden.
the only mint in Lee.
And what are you, like
no,
some kind of
but
Since
ghost
the
or
rite
something?
of parting has the
Hey,
perhaps in lieu. Well then,
Come on, Jack. Ain't no such
No.
thing as ghosts.
silk.
That's
time.
debatable. Nah, see, I'm just a vestige of the Mayfly Queen. Thing is, she don't just take over the host. She does way more cool. Took a slow drag before continuing. Evidently, this vestige wasn't in any hurry. And from the look of things, it wouldn't have mattered if he was. He didn't have any real way out of this. The queen bitch doesn't do much work for herself. She outsources it all. Makes her host eat for her, makes her breathe for her, even had to remember things for her. It's supposed to just be a one-way street, but there's a little cross-contamination. Some of my memories stayed inside her when she made me kill myself. When your brain gets sloppy seconds, she must have deposited some of Abram's thoughts
Hey,
inside
Bob.
good dog.
Silk flower.
That's all I am.
Ugh, you,
Golden house maiden.
my,
That's
you
really
two
gross.
must be his
But as
servants.
long as I have you here, maybe we
Please,
can make
now,
the most of
Silk
it.
flower.
Is there anything you can tell me about the
my
queen? Any
contract.
weaknesses? I mean, how do I kill
This
her?
for lastly,
I'm afraid
silk
you ain't got
flower.
much option.
Wow.
I
All I
possess
know
but a
is this.
smattering of trivial knowledge.
Don't ask me how I know.
I'll take them all.
Again?
How can
Queen
I but
needs a
this?
body to stay
Perhaps
alive.
like
She
several
can do
of
with
this.
corpse.
Now that's
You forgot to bring money again.
If I may.
Yes.
Gosh.
That's why
it
she
would-
made me go to the gas
You
station.
see,
Why? If he...
Closed his eyes
Thank
and
you.
rubbed
ours skip.
his lips
Please.
quivered like he was trying to keep from breaking. You okay? She made me do it.
ideally with the
She
help.
made me do so many things. I
Hence,
honestly
I
didn't
need-
even know
This
why I was
Wait.
doing it. I didn't know why I was infected. Started with
Maybe
weird
we can
stuff.
find some good
All this
candidates at
crazy,
the
crazy
Adventurers Guild.
Drink a puddle of water. One of the eat
What's
dirt.
this blind?
I just had to live with
She's
it.
master of
I
the
thought
Leeway Bridge,
we all
right?
got our fuck-ups, right? And then a couple months back, I started having to collect corpses. Mostly
What's the
roadkill
hurry?
first. Then a new urge hit me. How to start
Copy of each
setting
invoice is
traps.
sent to the
I
Ministry
started
of
collecting
Civil
pets. Ran out of the room in my deep freeze, so I started stocking them up whenever they'd fit into my house. I had been sleeping in a hotel for the last week because I couldn't stand the smell anytime I went home. Let me tell you, I drive garbage trucks for a living. I tried to think of some way to change the subject. This was horrible, but not exactly useful information. When I couldn't think of anything, I let him continue, hoping he was almost out of steam. Then inside my brain forced me to fill up the back of my garbage truck with all this rotten meat and drive it out to the gas station, separate it from the rest of town.
I st-
She remembered all the times I saw you out there and thought that it'd be
Do
safe.
I?
Well, Pilot,
Now that you mention,
No, say
oh,
Papa
in
Bear.
fact,
Turn one of you
no.
into a new
Anyway,
host, turn the others into
fortune teller.
food.
Thanks.
Alongside the meat from the garbage truck. And she spent the next 5 years laying more eggs. You don't want to know how she lays her eggs in other people's eggs. It's real nasty. But I couldn't help it. I didn't have no control. So even when she made me take that knife, all the hands and the fists, well, let's say I finally feel like myself again. I looked
Hello.
away from
We've
the
come
scared
to
of the fire.
ask you a question.
Perfume?
Sucks.
That's it.
I knew what I was gonna have to do, and I hated
While we're
it.
on the-
Dang it.
Yes, that's
Great.
wrong?
This is
Well, the queen needs a healthy host. If I'm gonna kill it, one way to do that. I have to make sure there aren't any healthy hosts left to occupy. What do you mean? When I get back to the gas station, I'm gonna have to kill again and Lucy. Clap, clap, clap. I turn to see the naked green giant standing behind us and slowly clapping his hands together. There, you figured it out on your own. This is all part of your spiritual voyage. I was meant to get stabbed all along. I stood up and faced the vision. Really? Yeah,
Well, hello.
it's like totally how I intended for it to go. And
actually,
now that you have your
What can I say?
epiphany,
Relax.
I'm gonna like
I know
send you back.
3 in one go.
And like, don't
You have
forget, if you
extreme
enjoyed your
taste.
vision, rate me 5 stars.
Suddenly was right.
All
As
right,
one
my
of my-
guy, time to go home. I shot up, struggling for air
In
and finding none.
short,
I was
I'm
underwater,
so-
flailing, bathing in darkness.
Where is
The world
it?
clung to my
Where
limbs,
is that?
pulling me,
Somewhere.
resisting my motions. I gasped and fell and hit my head, and then my hands touched the sticky concrete floor. The universe stopped spinning, and I regained my bearings. I was back in the supply closet, wrapped up beneath a plastic tarp. I carefully pried it free and sucked in as much air as my lungs could take. My head pounded, my bruises screamed, my left hand was numb all the way to the wrist, but I was alive. Even better, my hallucinogenic night vision was still working. Wait, that's not right. The light was on overhead, which meant someone or something had found the breaker box and turned the power back on in the station. The supply closet was shut, and I was all alone. You don't count the dried-up carcasses of a
I've
businessman
had a
by the
look.
door.
Are you ready?
Poodles of
I
carnivorous
meant
green
well,
dots
I'm-
crawling in and on and around him. Couldn't tell how long I'd been in the other place, but something told me I still had time to stop the queen. But if I was going to do that, I would need to open that one box I hoped I'd never open. It was the most desperate measure for sure. But these were the most desperate times. When this whole thing blows over, I'm gonna need a long vacation. I climbed up to the top shelf, reached into the corner, and pulled out the small, innocuous shoebox labeled
Cheap and tasty,
in
just
tiny
the
print,
way.
Code Reds only. Put this back. Whatever is happening, it isn't a code red.
This one. Now,
I brought it
perfume
down,
making
carefully
uses
set
an
it on the ground in front
altogether
of me and
different
opened the lid.
technique from alchemy.
Inside
Here,
was a small
let me
box.
teach you. You need
A
to
fire set
now
for the
use your
combination lock.
strong. Ooh, now don't.
It's really happening, huh? About to go kill some innocent people and save this sorry town. I entered the combination. 6, 6, 6. And snapped open the lid. The code red box contained exactly 2 things. A cigarette. And a hand grenade. I took the grenade and I stuffed it into my hoodie pocket. Right inside my... Oh, that's right, my hoodie's still outside. I took the grenade and I stuffed it into my pant. What? Why don't sweatpants have pockets? I took the grenade and I looked at it. How the hell was I going to transport this thing without the queen seeing it? I couldn't very well hide it in my underwear, even if I wanted to. I didn't have time to let my next idea disgust me into reconsidering. I just bit the bullet. I pried Owen's expensive suit jacket from what remained of his body, slammed it against the wall a couple of times, and put it on. It fit surprisingly well. All things considered. With the grenade stuffed into the inner jacket pocket, I went to the closet door and I pulled it open. As I stepped into the hallway, my shoes squished into something that felt like cat litter. It wasn't long before the liquid worked its way through my socks. The floor was completely coated in a blanket of green, several insects thick. The walls were all coated in the same stuff, and the ceiling, and the fixtures. I was walking down a solid green squirming tube into an equally green cave shaped like the front of a gas station. Each step I took, I felt a small footprint that quickly filled itself back in. The mayflies had finally become maycrawlers, having reached the stage in their life cycles where their wings fell off. Now they piled together, kicking any surface area they could find.
Wow,
I could
the
hear the
F-
sound
you
of
must
billions
have-
of
so
microscopic
please don't
teeth
wait.
prying at the wood, slowly devouring, digesting the building from the inside out. As I passed a
All
giant
A
mite that was once a
testament to the
spinning
length-
rack of
Anyway,
bagged chips.
this first,
I
the
saw
second
her.
one, fine, all clear.
She was sitting
Don't
on
get
a
that
living,
good.
wriggling green
I'll
throne
leave
where the
you
gas
one
station
who
counter used to
tries
be.
to sail.
She had a smile on her face, the one that it stole from Yen, and an aura from the floor to ceiling of
Perfumes over to
powerful,
the Statue of the
verdant
Seven.
green.
Mr. Zhongli's probably
I
been
was
waiting
looking
a
for you.
while.
She said in Yen's voice. Where did you go? Sorry. Slipped out of reality for a minute. Where'd I miss? That's a neat trip. Where in the world would you ever go? Why in the world would you ever come back? I was hoping to save my friends. Have you seen them? As I stood still, an untold number of crawlers climbed up my pant legs. I could feel their weight pulling me down like I was being swallowed by quicksand. They escaped, she said, her aura never wavering. You should have done the same thing. No matter. We could always use more food. I knew she thought she was telling the truth. I also knew Jerry would never leave me behind. Which meant he also had a plan. Listen, Yen. I know you're in there. She laughed. There's no Yen anymore. I know you can hear me. I wanted to tell you something. I'm sure you've probably seen it all a million times. When a dog comes into the shelter and there's nothing that can be done for it and it's suffering, what do? When you can't treat it and you can't save it and you're out of options. I reached inside the jacket. My fingers curled around the grenade right as the colony of crawlers passed my knees.
Did we take...
Look,
Compared,
look, I just
That
want to
is-
say that I'm sorry, okay? She laughed.
thank you
What do you think
both.
you can do to hurt me?
Let us offer them up.
I'm a god! You're
This
food!
is the first kind of perfume.
Right as my thumb touched the
This is
grenade
the
pin, I
second
heard something.
kind.
At first, I thought it was just
third
another
kind
hallucination,
has a
but as it grew
gentle but
louder
lingering
and closer, it
fragrance.
seemed even the Yen Queen was
Something
beginning
like
to
the
show a
dust
little
mist.
concern.
And it's... Oh, what was that? That's the one Audiomack does that.
What is that?
Rex
she
Lapis.
asked.
What is
They realized the answer at the same time.
We can leave that
As soon
to
as
the
the garbage
authorities.
truck had backed all the way up to
Next,
the
I would
building
like
and
to
crashed right through the front door,
At present.
setting chunks of cheap wall and bug spatter all over the place.
Man.
The shock of the collision freed swaths of bugs from the colonies on the ceiling, and they fell as a single amorphous unit. The impact nearly doubled the size of the bug pit on the floor. It was deep enough to drown in. I released my grip on the grenade and brushed the clumps of bugs off my head and shoulders. The queen jumped to her feet and walked over to the spot on the floor. A circle cleared the way for her, revealing the clean floor underneath and the baseball bat that she was reaching for. With a weapon in hand, she stepped over to the garbage truck. I didn't even think before bending down, scooping up a big handful of May crawlers and smooshing them in a ball very reminiscent of a snowball. Some of them skidded up my arms, but most of them stayed intact. I lobbed it as hard as I could, and it stuck the queen in the back of the head. She turned around with her mouth open and a very human expression on her face, one that begged the question, why did you just hit me with a ball of my own children? The distraction was enough for her not to notice the sound of hydraulic lifts behind her. And before she could take a step towards me, the gate of the garbage truck had swung open, and an avalanche of dead and rotting animal parts and bodies spilled onto her, crushing
All
her.
things must
Wet
change.
goop spilled across the floor,
Youngster,
washing away
are you
heaps of
here to
crawlers. The wave of blood and viscera
Back
hit
in
me
my
just a
day,
few moments after the
people
smell, and to
said
be
the
honest,
glazed lilies,
this
if
is
it
also not a
burnt,
job for words.
So that
Whatever
means...
you imagine the
yes,
smell being,
the root
I swear, it was
harbors
a lot worse than
well,
that.
I shall.
I would have projectile
An
vomited all
old
over the
friend
place,
of mine.
but
He
as
saw
luck,
me, but he told it
What
had
happened?
still.
there wasn't anything left
He's
inside of me.
old.
That's right,
The amount of
and...
death covered
All right.
almost the entirety of the front wall now, save for a small window at the top
An
of
old
the door
lady
frame.
like me
Oddly
can't
enough
afford
see
to buy a
through.
place in
Certainly
this
not enough to escape
city.
from. But I ran for it.
See this
All the same,
ceramic
once I hit the
teapot?
pile of Abrams collections, I
My
started climbing.
entire
There were hooves
household
and
is in
antlers,
here.
more cat faces than a grandma's Facebook page,
How's
and a
that
alarming
work?
number of limbs that could have at one point belonged to humans. Abrams did say that he'd been setting traps.
What does she mean? Her whole house?
Aren't
When I
you
finally reached the
puppy
top
cat?
of the pile,
If you
I dropped down on top of some ribcage squirming with green bugs and peered out into the opening. Jerry had climbed up the other side to meet me. Hey, bro, he said excitedly. I see you're awake now. How was the other side? You see the spirit guide? Yeah. We accidentally killed him.
Oh.
You what? Jerry, where's Lucy? She went around to the back door to rescue you while I caused a distraction. By the way, I learned how to operate a garbage truck. It's super easy. Hey, is that Owen's coat? I turned onto my back and slid down the mountain of gore. No sooner had my feet hit the floor than a hand erupted from below the pile and snagged my sweatpants. I ripped free right as the Yen thing pushed her broken body out from the pile. Her arms were bent in places they shouldn't bend. Bones poked out of her skin from the inside. Animal bones poked into her skin from the outside. Her jaw dangled lopsided and her aura
Youngsters,
burned to the
this
ceiling.
is where this
Green
old
and
woman
angry,
keeps all
her
her
vessel was broken and
things.
she only had one spare
Quickly now,
remaining.
go fetch that bell.
I turned to see the... Jack!
Oh.
I turned to see the last person I wanted to see and likely the first person the queen wanted to see.
This is
Lucy was close
her
enough to
teapot?
grab me. We need to go, now!
What's going
I
on?
turned back just in time to see the queen millipede.
Oh,
The
dear.
left center of the end
So
stack
many
launched itself forward.
cobwebs.
Lucy and I scrambled for
It
the back
seems
door.
I really haven't cleaned it in a long while.
Right here. Her hand was around my wrist.
Sorry
I
to
bent
trouble you
it.
children.
Then wrapped my own
Please
fingers around her
help
wrist.
an old
As
lady
soon as we
clean
reached
up.
the door, I pulled her to a stop. She looked back at me with worry in her eyes.
Dodge
I just grabbed the cooler door and pulled, hoping that she'd pick up on it. It scraped open a few inches, but the ground cover of green insects made it nearly impossible to move. Worse, the ground cover made it nearly impossible to see where the queen had gone. Lucy grabbed the door, and together I ran to it and freed the fillet knife just in time to hear Lucy scream, "Over there!" The queen skidded across the wall and into the corner. I lost sight of it almost immediately. A metal shelf crashed against the floor. Then Lucy pulled me towards and then through the cooler door. Once out, she slammed it shut behind us. What happened? I asked.
Did you
I trapped the
notice?
thing underneath some
The
boxes.
cobwebs were
What the fuck
made
is
of
that?
elemental
You
energy.
sure? You positive that you
How long
trapped
has it been since Grey
Positive.
Rat swept this
It's still
place?
in there. I hate how them I get for such a decision. But the bugs under my clothes had started biting, so
Cool it!
time was up.
This moment will be frozen in
Trust her. Okay. I pulled out the grenade, yanked the pin, reopened the cooler door just enough to toss the weapon inside and then shut it. Then laid my back against the door. What's that? She pointed at the door with horror. Yeah. Her hands gripped me by either side of my collar. She pulled me away from the door and flung me hard into the pile of bugs on the other side of the store. Before I could get up, she landed on top of me, and a second later...
You know, was such a special teapot?
The ringing in my ears never really
Do
went
you
away.
think this old granny could also be
But
an
after a few
adeptus?
seconds, the cloud of green dust had finally settled, and I could see that the cooler door had been blown clear off its hinges.
Iman's more and more convinced that she's an adeptus.
Damn, movies do
But
not do
don't
grenade
they
blast
all live
justice.
in Jillian
We
Park?
sat up and tried to catch our breaths.
Why
Lucy
would she
got to her
stay in
feet
the
first,
city?
coughing violently. I found where the fillet knife had landed a couple feet away, grabbed it, and slowly worked my way out. Lucy leaned against the counter. Her breathing was loud and fast. Pulping and venom. Sprint speed, marathon length. And now was the time we finally got to rest. Her head was down. Her back to me. She couldn't see the knife. Just like I didn't get to see the queen trapped.
Bet you can't keep up with me.
Spirit vision may have been an idiot. But he was also right. There was only one way to make sure the queen was dead. Stay dead. There was only one way.
freeze!
Let's see what's incoming.
Don't push your luck.
Considering how
Cool it!
that's
Free!
not such a bad way to go. We'll all be so lucky. I was sitting outside in a circle of salt. Jerry figured out
What's
about
the
an
hurt?
hour to
Dodge
play
this.
smaller than absolute hate salt.
Be gone!
First helicopter landed on the street outside of
Cool it!
the spelled its contents before
Don't get frostbite!
three guys, the machine gun, the gas mask, a couple in white hat with red suits.
Cool it!
But then the G-man with a black suit and tie. No gas mask on this one, a pair of big pointless sunglasses. The Fed shouted out orders to the others as they closed in on our building. But froze mid-sentence once he saw me.
No one escapes my sights!
I don't believe it. I don't frickin' believe it. You're still alive? Jesus. I just lost 50
That's
bucks.
cheating!
Hey there, Agent Roscoe. Well, I'll just be a monkey's uncle.
Windblade!
Wonders never cease. Well, I'll just be a monkey's uncle. Wonders never cease. You're a little late to the party. Where's your partner? You know your gas station isn't the only locale of interest on a night like this, right? He took off his sunglasses. I swear, he was wearing another pair of sunglasses underneath them. Or maybe the drugs were still messing with me. It's hard to say.
I'll race you there!
He looked at the teetering remains of the gas station and said, well, you want to start telling us what happened?
Bet you can't keep up with me!
Over the next hour, I gave my statement. More choppers landed, more men in gas masks arrived, cleaned up the damaged mayfly debris, some brooms, snow shovels, and devices that looked an awful lot like proton packs. A few of them left the gas station, carrying kernels with pissed-off raccoons, scratching away at the walls from the inside. One of the men interrupted my story to inform Agent Roscoe that they had captured all 3 raccoons. The agent dismissed this news much more easily than expected. All right, I've heard enough. To me. Here's how this is gonna play. You got hit by terrorists. Wait, scratch that. No, you did terrorists.
Windblade!
Let's say gang activity. The local gang broke in, did some Halloween vandalism, that sort of thing. It's an epidemic, you know. They've been going up and down the interstate looking for gas stations off the beaten path to tear up. But about all the bodies? He asked. We'll figure that out later. Jesus, Jack, my night is just getting started. This is like my Monday morning. Get off my back. He looked over my shoulder and lowered his voice. Well, you can keep a secret. What about this one? Behind me, Gary was cleaning off his katana by rubbing it in the grass. I was worried about him. He's what you might call an unreliable witness. Roscoe nodded, and suddenly pointed at the young woman in the fox maker talking to an agent about 10 feet away. What about her? She's new. Is she gonna be a problem? I shook my head. No. She knows the deal already. Grin. I want to let you in on a little secret. No, just between you and me. When I first started doing this job, I thought that I had a pretty finely tuned moral compass. But after a few mercy killings and real-world trolling...
Alright, my mic's on. It's cool.
The right choice and the moral choice aren't
Oh,
always the
bye-bye.
same thing. It's possible to do the right thing for the wrong reason. Or the wrong thing for the right reason. You can be forgiven for little mistakes, even if they cause a lot of people to die. Gruesome deaths. Thanks, I said, uncertainly. Jack, forgive me for asking, but you are certain you saw the Queen die, right? Am I really that bad at lying, or do I just constantly encounter people with bullshit detectors set to 11? Yeah.
What's the
How
hurry?
many levels does this teapot
I
have?
guess we'll find out in 5 years, huh? He raised his voice and called out to the others. All right, double time it. Wheels up in 30 minutes. Gotta leave time for the cleanup crew. A few minutes after the cleanup crew arrived, Jerry and Lucy approached me. Hey, man, Jerry said.
It would be nice
We're about
if
to
you
go
had
back to
one
my
of these
place
too.
and do, like, all the drugs.
At least
Wanna
you
come?
wouldn't have to camp outside.
Before I could answer, my eyes caught something standing in the tree line across the parking lot. Something watching us with two shiny red eyes. He was a raccoon. See, I know it could have been nothing more than the remnant of Jerry's playing tricks on me, but
Oh, you found it.
I could have sworn
Youngsters are so
this raccoon
quick
had
with
an
their
aura.
feet. Oh, now, let me...
One that was 10 feet tall,
All right, that'll do.
glowing green. And angry. Hey there, kids, it's me, Mr. Creepypasta, and we are back after Halloween. So, I want to give a big thank you to my Patreons. Those specifically are the ones that are in the description, and Joey Alexander Sanchez, Wayne Milstead, Joe Vincent, Brianna Valentine Jensen, Eddie Burrows, Stephen Van House, Tristan Pelton, G. Weevil 3, Asia, Toretto Shieldbiters, Sandy Barney, Nico Kao, Caleb Dougal, Dante Rao, Last Blade Song, The Ginger Bros, Don Mewmeister,
Oh,
Eliminator 86,
in and out in no
Neptune,
time.
Alex,
You
Steampunk
youngsters
Sinner,
am
Rafael
dead
Rodriguez,
as to whether I am...
Optimistic Avocado, and Dr. Strawberry.
knows what you
You guys would
mean.
like to join them? You can
Don't
always
you
head over
think
to
it's weird? Something...
Oh, don't be sick, but no map to cry. Now, so... Why... Oh? Well, we haven't met in a while. Well... Oh, and...
One of the very few perks of living with a rare terminal illness is the way nothing ever seems important enough to get stressed about. See, I'm speaking from my own limited experience, and in no way would I recommend you go out and get your own rare terminal illness, if you don't already have one. But in my case, I was able to make peace with the reality of my impermanence early on. Before the diagnosis, when I was a young teenager, sometimes I would worry about living up to my own expectations for adulthood, which is absurd when you consider that the town I grew up in is the capital of lowered expectations, whose only claim to fame is being the home of a famous bloody Civil War battle, and the place where it rained frogs that one time. Don't ask me. It's not interesting as it
This
sounds.
is the cleansing
I
bell.
work at the 24-hour
Let's place
gas
the
station near the
perfume we've
woods at the edge of
prepared
town.
inside.
And as far as jobs go,
Of course.
it's not the
That's
best.
suspicious.
It's not the worst either.
You...
Knowing that I won't
When
be
a
here too
suitable
much
time
longer
arrives,
dulls any
I'll bring...
ambition to climb the corporate ladder.
No,
Some
I will
days
explain it
churn
to you.
by without incident, moving the world one step closer to oblivion, or whatever. Those are my favorites, when I can pass an entire shift by reading a book and minding my own business. I don't need to climb a mountain or visit the Grand Canyon to know what Zen feels like. Tranquility is a quiet, empty gas station at 4 in the morning. Of course, some days aren't as uneventful. I've experienced rude customers, drunkards, vicious raccoons that fall on the chaotic evil spectrum of the D&D alignment, a handful of armed robbers, and some other things that I can only describe as weird. I had one of the last type of days yesterday. We had been busier than normal in the weeks leading up to this. Some of the wildlife and fishery agents from nearby towns had been patrolling the woods pretty heavily. And our gas station is the only place for miles to get fuel or fresh coffee. I don't know what the hubbub was about, but I would guess everyone's been on edge ever since those cows were mutilated. Okay, I think that maybe mutilated is too strong of a word to use. Somebody has been sneaking into cattle farms and shaving the cows alive. Who knows why?
The 7 kites you asked for
I
have
wasn't
been...
paying attention at the time
thank
because I
you.
never do, but it was late in my
It's
shift
Well,
in the middle of the night.
we've talked
when
about a
deer
whole
poked
bunch
his
of
head
things.
inside the gas station.
Personal Leroy's favorite topic's money.
I had just
Well,
finished
that's
my
because
book.
I prefer
was
to
checking my
share
phone
fun
for
things
weather
with you.
updates when it happened.
Children's toys are very fun things, that's for sure. I enjoy watching the finally...
Indeed.
I took as...
Paimon's her huh?
The design of these justice flows. Well then, Granny Shan.
Well, allow me.
Hey, it's Child!
I see Mr. Zhang Li. He knows a great deal about... Or...
How is he?
The rite of parting
Oh, by the way, take this bag of money. Seems I missed out on some interesting information. I suppose I'll just have to find a more opportune moment next...
A toast to our success.
Hiring help?
adventure.
Eh? That's
A most fair price.
a pleasure doing business with you.
A full
Whoa, that's a...
hero of monsters.
Well, you may never have heard of this hero.
Hey, that's a good price.
What's the hurry? Oh, help? So what's the job?
Let me see.
No problem.
Done.
This? Child? No. He's putting up the money? How about this? Let's make a trade. I'll get me a single Chinkson flower, and I'll consider that payment.
Guess we've got no choice.
Have you brought the goods? Hey, that's pretty good. With this Chinkson flower...
Oh there. Come on. Precious curios. All finished then? Splendid. Any leftover cash is yours to keep.
You think you can buy... What info do you need? Huh. Does that... Yikes! You're right! Senora!
You both need to calm down. Just what is this about?
Next, we need some everlasting
Everything. Now if you'll...
Paimon definitely felt like Child wasn't happy with us just now.
What's the hurry? What's the hurry?
The reception. Hello? Is anybody?
Welcome to Boo Boo Pharmacy.
Huh? Did you?
The reception, it seems.
How about you go check? Oh, there you are. But, Paimon thinks you might be right. Look at the talisman on her forehead.
Welcome to Boo Boo Pharmacy. I am Chi-Chi. Once upon a time, Chi-Chi...
Something like this would be unimaginable in Mondstadt.
Hell,
Excuse me, sir. Did you bring your prescription? Chi-Chi can get your medicine. But...
Zombies are limited to acting within the confines of their orders. And somehow in this case, the zombie issues her own orders to herself. My dear Chi-Chi, we didn't bring a prescription, I'm afraid. But we do hope that you can still help us find some everlasting incense.
Okay, then.
How did you manage that?
But Chi-Chi helps you. You help Chi-Chi. Oh,
Since when do customers need to do favors for...
Never mind. Just think of it as...
go to Mount Tianheng.
It's a kind of crossbow located in Tianheng Pass.
Mr. Zhang
Apparently not quite.
The Coco Goat is a legend.
gave you one to act...
No. What it looks like. Don't know.
Very well then.
It's huge, but how did... Aw, what?
After millennia of...
So what are we gonna...
That said, as I recall, if we can retrieve this...
So...
I have... with the parts in hand.
Where is that supply post? Here, post...
What's the hurry?
These parts look useful. One moment. I will try to repair the device. It is done. The Guizhong ballista is more intricately designed.
Ooh! Now how do we turn it on?
It's easy enough. We simply need to do this. Look, it even has a scope.
Over here we have nothing. And over there, more nothing.
Hey! Just what do you think you're doing? So you fixed up this turret because you're planning to do what, exactly?
Not a turret. A Guizhong ballista. Also, kindly state your name before you ask a question. It's just good manners.
Ha! Are you blind or something? You're looking at the leader of the treasure hoarders, old man. This area's supposed to be chock full of hidden treasures, but you can't. Last time we approached the mountain, it nearly skewered one of our guys. A few of us risked our lives to disarm it, which amazingly we managed. And then we turn our backs for 2 seconds, and you've already gone and repaired it! The next thing you'll be repairing is your faces! And that's if you get out of this alive!
Tut tut. Vandalizing the legacy of an adeptus for selfish gain. It is not we who need reprimanding.
You're open. Dodge this. Cool it. Freeze. Dodge this. You're open. Cool it.
I'm out. Another test subject. That tingle?
Dodge this. Don't get frostbite. Cool it.
That tingle?
Yeah!
Picked the wrong
Freeze.
subject. Such a pain.
You're open. You're open.
Prepare to be blown away!
You're open. You're open. You're open. You're open. You're open. You're open. Should replace my head.
troubling ourselves over this.
Oh,
A search using the... What's more?
yeah! Which means... Paimon wouldn't go... Good idea.